Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
Donnie and Dolly presented by Able Auctions and King of Floors. All guests on a Friday. Brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Get ready this spring with up to $10,500 off Ram Classic. Man, you see a lot of them around.
Oh, big time.
Whether you need a truck or Jeep to haul the family to sports or tow the boat to the lake, you can find it in store or online at langleychrysler.com. Jeeves from Surrey writing into the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. You guys feel, I'm going to just rework this a bit.
Yep.
You guys failed to ask Jim about the shower in the upper level at Rogers Arena. We'll do that next time.
We'll do that next time.
As we bring in Canucks reporter Jeff Paterson. How are you, sir?
Good, Donnie and Rick. I really look forward to meeting you someday, too. So.
Hey, Jeff, you and I have known each other for 20-plus years. We see each other all the time. Listen, Jeff, I have never met Jim Benning. I deal with the agents, and that's just the bottom line. I've never met Jim, but maybe because of this today, I'll meet Jim in the near future.
Yeah.
Well, as he said, once all these COVID restrictions are lifted.
Yeah, there you go.
And he did say he likes Jeff. He did say he likes me. He could have said, "You know what? You're an idiot."
That's true.
He did say he likes me.
That's important to you, isn't it,
Yeah,
Rick?
well, damn right it is.
What was your takeaway from the interview, Jeff? I know there was a lot there, but
Yeah, I thought you guys traveled down the road that you had to and asked the questions, and I feel better now. Well, I certainly feel confident that the Sedin thing is going to happen. It's a question of when and not if any longer. I mean, you think back, it was 1 week ago at this time that Jim and Travis were meeting the media via Zoom, and there were all sorts of questions. They had just got the Travis Green extension done, but there were all sorts of questions about the coaching staff, Ian Clark, and the Sedin's name came up that day as well, and I don't think anybody really knew, and even as this week unfolded, there was still a lot of talk of what's going on and why hasn't an announcement come and, what will their roles be? And so I thought, he left no doubt that it's happening. And I thought, provided a pretty good answer about how they don't want to just have desk jobs. Like they want to be hands-on. Yeah. They want to learn all aspects of the business. And so, with the farm team coming to Abbotsford as well, you wonder if there's an opportunity for them to have some advice with the big league team, but also possibly, travel out to Abbotsford, work with some of the prospects. I'm still unclear if there's going to be an on-ice component, but at the very least, we know that it's a wide-ranging job description, and good for them. I mean, I think, that's Daniel and Henrik. I think they have been pretty thorough through this process and didn't want to rush into anything, obviously, and so I think that was probably the biggest takeaway for me, but the other one was feeling far more optimistic after hearing Jim about Ian Clark, because I really felt, too, that was a door that, if it hadn't closed, was in the process of closing pretty quickly. And hearing the general manager there, I mean, he sounded pretty confident that something's going to get done with Ian Clark. So I think Canuck fans can come away from that interview feeling that, the goaltending coach and the guy that has done such good work, not just with Thatcher Demko, but Jacob Markstrom before him, such a critical part of the development of goaltending, and we know that goaltending is the most important position on the ice, so I would think that Canuck fans should feel pretty relieved that something's going to get done there with Ian Clark, and it'll be fascinating to see ultimately what that deal looks like in terms of dollars and also the length of contract required to keep his services, but count me among those that thought that was going to be a chapter that had closed on the Canucks, so it sounds like Ian Clark's going to be back in the fold as well.
Back to the Sedins, how badly do you think he needs their help?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've long been a proponent of bringing in some additional voices. I think the front office here has been awfully lean. Some might say too lean. You look around the National Hockey League and the way that a lot of teams are building out their sports science departments and research and development and analytics and everything else, and we know that the Canucks have, in years, sort of cut back, and, there's just not a lot of people in this front office when you look around what's happening in the National Hockey League. So the proof's in the pudding. I mean, the Canucks haven't been very good for a lot of years, and I think Jim's been willing to wear that. He was last Friday. He mentioned it a couple of times to you guys that there's no sugarcoating, and he's not trying to hide from it. He knows that they've got to get a whole lot better, and if the heat wasn't already on internally, then I think from his comments, it's pretty apparent that he feels strongly that he's got to make the playoffs next year, and you just wonder what will that mean in terms of the moves that he ultimately is able to pull off this offseason. But yeah, I think it's good. Daniel and Henrik are smart guys. We saw that their hockey IQ off the charts, and I think that these are guys that take on challenges. We've seen it, once they retired, they wanted to get into marathoning and trail running and all those types of things, and they don't just dabble. Like, they throw themselves into it, and I think that they'll do the same with this transition into hockey management. So I've got confidence in them, but they're young in terms of experience. They're green. They're not going to be the answers or have all the answers right away, but I think that these guys are students of the game, and they know what the Canucks mean to this organization. They were front and center for 2 decades, and I'm sure as they sit and watch from the outside right now, they want to do whatever they can to help out to get this organization back to where it was a decade ago.
Jeff, we all heard after the season, players weren't happy. Oh, they want out. This guy wants out. This guy wants out. It clearly looks like now that's not going to happen. JT Miller says he wants back, and now Jim says he talked to Nate Schmidt. Nate Schmidt was a name we heard a lot that was going to at some point ask out. He says now he's talked to Nate, and Nate doesn't want out. So from a team-building perspective, at least you won't have to put up with that this offseason.
They all want to be here, Rick.
Yes.
They can't get enough of being Vancouver Canucks. The problem is if you return everybody,
no room.
Well,
but they could trade. Jeff, you could trade. You could trade some of these guys. I'm not saying you can't trade them. What I'm saying is the rumor was everybody wanted out. They were going to ask for trades. That doesn't look like it's going to happen.
No, I hear you there. And look, this was a weird year, obviously, for everybody with COVID protocols, and those of us that were at the rink weren't really around the team. Like, I think Nate Schmidt would be an incredible guy to get to know. I mean, character for days. And when I say character, I mean he's got character as a hockey player, but he's a character too. And, it's unfortunate that, the only way we got to sort of spend any time with him was Zoom once a week. And so I hope that we get an opportunity to get back around these guys and get to know them a little bit and build a rapport there. I think Nate Schmidt's a way better hockey player than he showed in his first year with the Vancouver Canucks. I believe that. 15 points is totally underwhelming. I understand that. And if people thought that, the Canucks got sold a bill of goods, I don't know if it was the transition, if it was the circumstances, if it was coming to a new country, whatever the case, I just think he's a way better player. And in saying that, it was on the offensive side that he was underwhelming. I still think defensively he was decent, and the underlying numbers, I mean, they weren't good for anybody on this team, but there were guys that struggled far greater than Nate Schmidt did in their own zone. This is a guy that took 2 minor penalties all season. Like that, to me, that's an accomplishment for a team that got pinned on so many nights and spent so much time in their own zone, and Edler and Myers, constant trips to the penalty box. And this is a guy that can defend in the modern game by using his positioning and using his stick properly and those types of things. Like I think that's to be commended, that he took 2 minor penalties all season long on a team that spent so much time chasing the puck in its own zone, where other guys would put a hand or a stick on an opponent. He was able to defend positionally. So I just hope that, if he comes back and he's in a good headspace, I hope that the Canucks and Canuck fans get to see the real Nate Schmidt, because I think he was all right, but all right isn't good enough for this group. They all need to take a step forward, but I think he's a better player than he showed in his first year in Canuck colors.
I'm taking a little heat, Jeff, for my Ulevy question. Do you not think after 5 years he should be a regular everyday NHL defenseman by now?
Well, you'd like to think that the guy taken 5th overall in his draft class wouldn't just be a regular, but would be starring. But we know the story, and that's not
difference
the case.
Maker. How about a difference maker?
Well, Rick, I think that ship has sailed, and it's just unfortunate. Like, it's fine for you or me to say, hey, he should be this, but he is the player he is, and Travis Green and Nolan Baumgartner don't have the trust in him. Nope. There are mobility issues. There's no question. We saw it, pivoting and trying to turn as he's getting attacked with speed. Still seems to be an issue for him at the National Hockey League level. I'm still trying to figure out, like, how much is too much on his plate. Like, could he become a reliable penalty killer? I don't know that at this stage of his career, but if you've got Hughes and you've got Rathbone on the left side, both of those guys bring offense. They think offense. Both of them are undersized in today's NHL. If Olli Juolevi's going to carve out a niche for himself, I think penalty killing would be a great place to start. And so I wonder if he's capable of taking that on. But, the coaching staff had other options and chose those other options. And so still very much a work in progress. Unfortunately for him, the time is ticking. Like, you can't be a prospect forever. At some point, you are what you are. And it's unfortunate that he's never going to live up to the billing of being 5th overall, and he's never going to come close to the guy that was taken, one pick after him, Matthew Tkachuk, who just happens to play in the division, and Canuck fans see him a ton as well. So, I don't think you can declare that a guy is ready for the National Hockey League. It's on him to continue to work hard and put in the off-season training, and I'm sure he will. Like, he seems like a diligent guy that way. I just wonder, with the injuries that he's had over his young career, if that mobility is ever going to allow him to keep pace at today's NHL level.
Yeah. So 20th wedding anniversary this week. What was your indoor dining experience like? First time in a long time, obviously.
Yeah, it was terrific, and thanks for mentioning that. And we had a good night out. Went to the Beach House restaurant down on the waterfront in West Vancouver, and it felt normal. It felt like life should be, to be able to get out and enjoy a meal out, and just deal with the wait staff that seemed delighted to have their jobs back and to be doing what they like to do. And so, for anybody that is thinking about it, weekend here, sunshine, like, we've had patio experiences and stuff, but support local. Look, you hear it all the time. We're in this thing together, and the restaurants, man, they've had it tough. So hopefully people can get out, and it was just fun. It kind of took me back a year and a half to when we didn't even think twice about going out for a meal like that.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Nice work on the Jim interview, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Draft lottery day.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a lovely weekend.
All right, guys. Thanks.